The purpose of this video is to show you how to complete a new contractor request form. If you've already watched the how to submit a new end client request form, then this will make sense to you. Otherwise, I will re-explain it. The client name and ABN or NZBN, depending on which country you are in, is important for us to be able to invoice your end client. The client name and ABN or NZBN does need to match what's on your contractor agreement and your end client agreement. Just scrolling down, the contractor profile section here, depending on what model you have at on-call, will depend on what all of these options here may mean. PAYG is a contractor who we deduct the PAYG tax from, and we deduct super and process superannuation to their nominated super fund. The proprietary limited options here, if your contractor does a request to use their ABN, they can use it, provided they are a proprietary limited structure. If they are a sole trader, we're unable to facilitate their payroll as a sole trader. They can either upgrade their sole tradership to a proprietary limited, or they can revert to being PAYG. All proprietary limited contractors do need insurances. Depending on the model that you are set up under here at on-call, will depend on whether our insurances extend out to any of your proprietary limited contractors. The insurances automatically extend out to your PAYG contractors if you are using the on-call insurance model. So if you are using the on-call insurance model and you do have a proprietary limited contractor, there are three options that they can choose. Insurance required paid by agency means that your contractor has a proprietary limited company but does not have professional indemnity and public liability insurances, needs to use on-calls, and you as the recruiter are happy to cover the cost for that. That cost is already accounted for within your on-call fee. This option here is that you have a proprietary limited contractor who does not have professional indemnity, public liability insurance, and requires to use on-calls. This is where we will be charging the contractor for those insurances. That means we deduct the fee from you, from your on-call fee, so 1.3% is reduced. Your fee is reduced by 1.3%, and that 1.3% is charged to your contractor, and it is deducted at the time of payroll each time we process payroll. If you do choose this option, please ensure that you've had that conversation with your contractor so that when they do receive their first pay, it is what they expect and not lower than what they expect. This option here is where you have a proprietary limited contractor and they have adequate professional indemnity and public liability insurances along with their work cover certificate. on-call obtains all of these certificates at the time of registration, and should it be seen that they have a lower level of limit than what is acceptable, then we will come back to you to extend the options a little bit further. For our New Zealand recruiters, these options are all exactly the same. We've just broken down the sole trader and the limited company options there. Again, if there's any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We'd be happy to run through it with you. The contract start and end date is very important. A contract is a contract when there is a start and end date, and should there be no start or end date, it could be misinterpreted, could be misclassified as a permanent or fixed term contract. As the on-call deals in the contracting space, there does need to be a start and end date on each contract. The start and end date that you submit on this form does also need to match what's on the contractor agreement and does need to match what's on the end client agreement. Where they don't match, our team are trained to come back to you and ask you which ones are correct. And if your contracts are incorrect, we may ask you to amend the contracts to ensure that the dates are correct as what you've submitted on this form. The agreed payroll cycle to the contractor. For our new recruiters, we generally set a payroll cycle for you, and that stays firm for all contractors, regardless of their end client. We will keep the same payroll cycle for each of your contractors. That just avoids any confusion that your contractors may have if they are working for the same company, that they are on the same pay cycle. The contractor rates here, I will just quickly explain. The contractor rate, including super, the SGC is the super guarantee contribution. When you are communicating to On-Call in this cell here, the rate does need to be including super. So the rates on your contractor agreement do need to stipulate that the rate is including super. It just removes any ambiguity that there might be surrounding the contractor rate. The bill rate here, this needs to be communicated to On-Call excluding GST. Of course, we add GST at the bottom of our invoices, but the system adds it on, it doesn't deduct it. So this rate here does need to be excluding GST. There are options to add additional rates. If any of your end clients do have on-call rates or overtime rates or anything like that, you can add them here in the additional rates column or additional rates section. You can add a little note to us in case there is some information that you need to share with us. You can add it in this section here. The file attachments, you will note that this is a mandatory field. When you are submitting this new contractor form to us, there does need to have a fully signed contractor agreement and the fully signed end client agreement attached so that we are able to vet all that information that comes through. Always get a copy of your responses that you submit and hit the submit button and don't exit out of the browser until you've received a notification on screen to say that your submission has been received. If you do have any queries or questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call. The number is 1300 654 484, or you could email us on supportoz@oncallservices.com. Thank you.